Preface. Prolegomena to any future big words. This small book may be considered as a work of exhortation. As I say this, I am mindful of Ambrose Bierce's definition of this most virtuous activity. Exhort, verb transitive, in religious affairs, to put the conscience of another upon the spit, and roast it to a nut-brown discomfort. So perhaps I should say this is a work of defensive exhortation. As the editor of the magazine entitled Credenda Agenda, I am often asked something along the lines of, what gives? Behind such penetrating questions is the common assumption that the foibles of modern evangelicalism are treated, within our pages, with a less than perfect tenderness. This causes distress in some quarters, glee in others, and FAQs for the editors. The assumption behind such questions are fairly widespread, fairly here meaning kind of, and not with considerable justice. From time to time, some folks will make their way out to Moscow, Idaho, which is the magazine's point of origin, in order to visit us. Prior to their arrival, their only knowledge of the place comes from the pages of our magazine, and after a short time here, they frequently discover that the people they meet who are associated with the magazine are, well, pleasant, and this disorients them, not what they thought was on the menu. A story not related to Credenda still illustrates the principles involved quite nicely. My wife was once in conversation with a woman she did not really know, and as the conversation developed, the lights began to go on in the other woman's head. She then asked if my wife was married to Douglas Wilson. When Nancy confessed that this was in fact the case, the woman she was talking to expressed herself well. "But you seem so nice." Our investigations reveal that the austere world of black and white careful analysis, epistemological invective, doctrinal sarcasm, and eschatological jihad has obscured our sunny selves from public view. This is not necessarily a bad thing, because our sunny selves can also take some getting used to. But we still thought a small book was in order. In the pages of Credenda, we are too busy doing what we do to explain it fully, but at some point an explanation is still called for. So here is a slim volume to put right next to that ever-growing Hardy Boys in the Apocalypse series by LaHaye and Jenkins. Call it our apologia for not apologizing. Who will read this modest effort? Well, for starters, a lot of people initially got on our mailing list because some zealous reformer in the family added his whole Christmas card list, and the said reformer is now in some trouble with his Aunt Henrietta, a soft-spoken amillennial Lutheran. So zealous name-adders should read this, if only to have something to say at the next tense family get-together at Thanksgiving. And then there is the curious fellow who likes what we are doing but still feels guilty about it. He laughs at most of the jabs, but then starts violently, comes to himself, and shakes his head quietly. Tisk. Guilt-free polemics is a whole new concept, and he might go for it if a biblical case is made for it. Another potential reader is the ammo gatherer. He is trying to come up with a Platonic form letter to the editor, one that will shut us up for good, and you know it might. But at the end of the day, even if customers do not start clogging up Canon Press's order lines, we still have the option of sending the book out as a gift to those who support the magazine financially. This is the preaching to the choir angle, but this cliché overlooks the fact that choirs sometimes need preaching to. If I can stay on track, the book will be organized around two basic themes. Objections to our joie de vivre can be divided into two general categories. The first is that what we are doing is unkind and therefore unbiblical. The second is that what we are doing is counterproductive, that we are chasing people away from our position. Our response to these objections could be summarized in a twofold fashion, reading from left to right as, "oh yeah," and "nuh-uh," but this requires further development.